Are you tired of seeing all the boring bicycle reviews with just pictures? Well, you're in luck today because I'm gonna do an explain review on the Kink Launch BMX bike. And we actually have it here so you can see it in full 3D real life. So let's check it out. And all my videos, I tell you everything about these bikes, from how they're made to what comes on the bike and all the stuff in between. So let's get to it. This is the Kink Launch and it comes in a couple different colors. And it comes in this Astro, actually no, it's not Astro Red. This one is just a red. If you know what red it is, leave a comment below and let everybody else know what this red color is. It looks phenomenal. It also comes in, what was that other color called? Bronze or copper or something like that. But check out that other one. That one looks really sick. It's got like a goldish frame with the chrome stem. But head over to stackbmx.com to get into the know of the actual names of the colors. But these ones look phenomenal, and we're gonna go through and show you all the different stuff that's on it. Going up to the Kink Ace grips, these things are a long Crichton grip. They're relatively thin, so they feel pretty nice. They also got a heavy duty bar end on the side right here. Next, we're gonna go to the brake lever. It's a Mission alloy brake lever, and it's a 2-finger pull. Pretty standard brake lever, works pretty nice, feels pretty smooth, pretty heavy duty, probably pretty hard to bend. Next up is the linear cable. This thing allows you to spin your bars and still hit the brakes without it binding up the cable, so that's pretty cool. Going to the bars, we have the T875s. These things are 8.75 inches tall, so center from here to center here is how tall the bars are. You could obviously switch out taller bars if need be, but 875 is a pretty nice size bar, especially if you're a little guy. You don't want like 9.5 yet, maybe in the future, but this is a great size to start with. Going to the stem, we have a top load stem. Notice how this is mounted on the top and the bolts aren't on the front. That's why this is called the top load stem. This is the Kink Bold HRD stem. This thing is 50 millimeters long, so from the center here to the center of this tube is 50 millimeters. That gives you the reach. The longer it is, the more it sways. The shorter it is, the less it sways, and the easier it is to do nose manuals, stuff like that. So traditionally, people used to ride like a 53. Now everybody's going to shorter ones like 50 and 48. So you might not like that on this bike, especially for the littler guys. Definitely a cool size stem. Going to the fork cap, we have an alloy fork cap, and it has a 6 millimeter hex head on the top, and it goes down to these high tensile steel forks. The steer tube is a tube that runs all the way in the center. Going to the headset, we have the Mission integrated sealed headset. This thing has sealed bearings. It stays tight, it doesn't come loose. Just a really easy headset to work with. Going with the head tube is also an integrated head tube to fit it, obviously, but it also has gyro tabs right here pre-drilled for you, so you could add a gyro if you like. Going down to the forks, we have a tapered fork. It's big up here and it's a smaller diameter here. This is the Kink Striker fork. It has a cutout on the front right here so your peg can clear. It also has a cutout on the back right here, so when you're grinding, the peg and the forks don't hit the ledge or the rail or whatever you're grinding. Going to the front axle, notice how this axle is really long. These are designed specifically for BMX. These aren't like your department store bikes. They have a longer axle, so you can run a peg on here. You need extra threads in order to run a peg, and then this axle nut. A lot of the other bikes are too short, so you run a peg and you can only get a couple threads on there. As soon as you grind or you step on that peg, it just pulls the threads out and damages your front wheel, and now you're out of $100 because now you got to buy a whole new front wheel. So they're going to save you money by getting this bike with these longer axles, and it also has this big heavy duty 17 millimeter head axle nut, and it's got a big large washer on it to keep it from bending. With the larger washer right here, it doesn't allow the peg to move, and it gives it more surface to keep the axle straight for longer. The dropout on here is relatively thick. We got about a 5 millimeter thick dropout. It's relatively thick and it's far away to give yourself a lot of room. Going to the front hub, we have the Mission Covert alloy unsealed front hub. laced to this Mission 7X rim, and it has stainless steel spokes and brass nipples. Going to the front tire is the Kink Seaver tire. This thing is a let me see, I want to say it's a 2.4. Yes, 2.4 tire. You can put 35 to 60 psi in the tire. This tire has some great V cutouts on here to disperse water, debris, dirt, anything like that. But it's also knurled to give you a lot of traction. And then it's got some cutouts on the side extra here, so if you get into the dirt, you can lean over and it's not going to wash out. Overall, this is a pretty sick overall tire for dirt, street, park, or anything like that. If you're riding trails, keep in mind that nowadays people do not ride knobby tires. People are smart enough to make their trails smooth and really just like dirt concrete. So having a street style tire or a really smooth slick with some knurl on it, that's what you want, because it's not going to slow you down. The knobbies are going to slow you down. You're going to have to pump too hard or pedal like Cornastasio to get through the next jump. So don't get the knobbies. Make sure you get a street style tread tire. So this will work for anything like that. We're going to talk about the frame, but we're going to hold up. We're going to talk about the parts, and we're going to come back to the frame. This seat here is the Mission combo seat. This thing is relatively small, kind of thick, a little bit soft, just looks pretty heavy duty. So if you thrash seats and stuff like this will definitely hold up. The angle of it's moderately nice. It's not too steep and it's not too flat. It's kind of just more on the flat side, but still kind of raises up, points up a little bit. Just a nice angle. I think anybody getting into BMX will dig it. Going to the pedals, we have the Kink Hemlock pedals. I always forget the name on these videos, and man, can't believe I forget this name. Hemlock pedals. These things are nice because it's got a lot of pins on it. It's got a lot of knurling on it, and it's got a heavy duty chromoly axle, so that it's going to be hard for you to bend it if you're doing drops, riding trails, or anything like that. Going to the cranks, these have 170 Mission Triumph cranks on here. These are chromoly 8-spline crank. It's got the Mission breech steel sprocket in 25 tooth, and it also has a sealed mid bottom bracket, and the bottom bracket shell is milled out to give you reduced weight, and it kind of locks in when you're doing cricket grinds and derrick dusters, so that's kind of nice. Going to the rear, actually let's go to the chain. The chain, we have the 410 Mission chain on there, just your standard chain. On the back wheel, we have the same Seaver tire in the back. We got the same Mission tire and same spokes, and we got a cassette hub, but this time we got the Mission Function cassette hub. This one has a 14 millimeter axle. It's got a 17 millimeter hex head nut, and it's got a 9-tooth driver on here. This drive system is a lot smaller, but it pedals exactly the same as a big sprocket that mom and dad used to ride. So if you're wondering why they have them like this now, it's because it saves weight and it makes the bike lighter, and it pedals exactly the same, and it just looks a lot better. Also too, when you're riding ramps and dropping in, your sprocket's not hitting the coping or the corner right when you roll in, so that's super nice. It's easier to do disasters, stuff like that. Sprocket stalls and sprocket grinds and stuff like that are also a lot easier and just a little more comfortable to do. So that's why they've gone to the smaller ones. Now let's go into the frame. The frame is a 20.25 inch top tube. This is perfect for anybody from 12 years old all the way to adult. We get a lot of people asking me which bike I should get or which bike should they get, and they're different sizes, and they go online and they hear all these different things from different people. From my perspective, what I like to do is tell you, get whatever bike that you can afford. We're always going to pick a bike, and it's always going to have something wrong with it. But just get one that you like and you love, that you want to try out, and try that. And then as you ride and you start advancing, that's where you can start switching and pivoting and kind of getting something more that you like. But if it's your first bike, get whatever you can afford. If you're 6'6" and you can only afford this bike, buy this bike, because later on you could buy a larger frame, you could buy a bigger handlebar or anything like that, but you're never going to save up all the money to get that higher end bike because it fits you. You know what I mean? A $600 bike might be unreasonable for you. So get something like this. You could always sell it as you learn and then use that money to buy the $600 one. But the recommended height for this bicycle in general, I would say, is probably about 410 all the way up to 6 feet, but 410 to probably 5'8" or something. Should be able to ride this bike super comfortable. But keep in mind, if you wanted to track straighter, even if the frame's a little bit longer than you should ride, you could definitely ride that. And then if the frame is a little bit shorter than you expect, you could also see that your tail whips and 360s might spin a little bit faster. Just like me, I should be riding a 21 inch or 21 and a quarter, but I run a 27.5 because it helps me 360, helps me tail whip better, and it just feels a little bit more comfortable for me. So keep all those things in consideration, and if this thing fits perfectly for you, then go ahead and get this frame because of the size and everything. Going to more stuff on this frame, it's got this built-in cable stop, which looks pretty dope. It's got a bottom gusset right here, no gusset on the top, looks super smooth. Going down to the chainstay bridge, it's cut out right here, very light, but it has a lot of room for your wheels. The tubing isn't pinched like, the downside and the switch. So it's a little bit, a little bit wider on there. Still can get a fat tire, but doesn't have as much clearance as that one, but still looks really nice. The caps are welded, have welded caps on here. That looks super sweet. The tubing on the chainstays and the seat stays are relatively big. They're not really small, so that looks pretty tough. And then the seat stay bridge right here is cut out a lot, and it looks like it holds up quite a bit, and it still keeps everything relatively light. You got, what else do we got on here? The dropouts on the back are relatively small, so if you put pegs on here, it'll clear it and everything like that, and just stay away from everything. What else? No, I think we talked about these cables and all that other stuff earlier. But yeah, this bike is pretty sick. You can use it to hit trails. You can go to the skate park. You could ride street with it. You could put pegs on it. You could pretty much do anything that you want with this bike. Just a great, affordable bike. Looks amazing. I think this is going to be one of the best sellers from Kink's line. Leave the comment below if you think this one's going to be a hot buy. But if you love this bike, make sure you head over to stackbmx.com and go pick yourself up one of these Kink Launch Complete BMX bikes.